Alright. Multi Apples here bringing you another video, and I'll be live streaming on Twitch as well. How's everyone doing? I hope you're all doing well. I'm doing well, thanks for asking. Let's have two of our reserves actually play and start. Say two, but let's make it three actually. So yeah, I'm playing some FIFA 11 actually. I'm gonna play against Cercle Bruges. It is a pre-season friendly. I believe I'm in my first season of the head coach of Ajax Amsterdam, my favorite football club. I'm also a fan of Real Madrid as well. Real Madrid and Ajax are my two favorite teams I follow the most. Actually, no, Real Madrid won their first Champions League match as a home game against Atletico Madrid, also a La Liga team, both are La Liga, and They played in the Champions League yesterday. I don't remember the score, but I know Ajax. Not Ajax. I know Real Madrid beat Atletico Madrid. Um, don't know any of the Cercle Bruges players, if I'm being honest. I do know a few of the Ajax players. Before I first played this or any of the older FIFA games, I know of Luis Suarez. I know Martin Stecklenburg as well. And now Ajax plays against Eintracht Frankfurt tomorrow in the Europa League. So I'm hoping Ajax will win the Europa League and Real Madrid will win the Champions League. Oh, that's good defense right there by Bruges. Oh, that nearly went in. That nearly went in. Another good save, actually. So we got a bit lucky that was deflected to us, though, off of the Bruges defender. I believe Real Madrid won 2-1 if I remember correctly. So when they play Atletico Madrid away in the Atletico Madrid home stadium next week, they have to draw or win in order to advance. If they lose 1-0, they'll go into extra time. If they lose by two or more goals, essentially they won't move on. If they lose by one goal, they'll go to extra time, and if they draw or win, they'll still go on. I know Ajax essentially has to at least win. If they win tomorrow, then they just have to draw or win. And depending on if they lose tomorrow, or if they win, it'll depending on how much they have to score, or allow or lose by. It depends on how much they have to win by or lose by, depending on the final score tomorrow for the second leg against Eintracht Frankfurt. Now, if they draw, then they have to win the second game. Basically, it's the combined goals of both games determine, add up to the final score, and whoever has more goals scored in both games will win. For example, Real Madrid won 2-1 yesterday, so if they draw 0-0 next week, then Real Madrid will finish with a score of 2-1. But if they as we score there with Suarez, if say Real Madrid wins 1-0, then they'll basically go on by an aggregate score of 3-1. So the goals they score in the next game will be added to the goals scored in the first game. If that makes sense. For those of you that don't really follow hockey, not hockey, soccer. Don't know why I got hockey, but because we score again with Suarez. I know he's one of the best Uruguayan players ever. I know he's also controversial at a certain time because he would, commit a lot of maybe not commit. I guess they consider our fouls, but I know he got into trouble in the World Cup, and I think when he was playing in England, if I remember correctly, I know for sure the World Cup because he bit some players, at least one player. To me, it's one thing if you commit a foul, but I feel like if you bite someone, you should get a red card, regardless of who you play for. If you try to start, I feel like if you fouling is one thing, but if you assault someone what Zinedine Zidane did in the World Cup in 2006, where he headbutted another player, or where he got a red card. But if Luis Suarez, when he bit another player, he should have gotten a red card if he didn't. But now I feel like if you do something like that, where you headbutt someone or you bite someone, that's clearly not the point of a game. You're clearly not supposed to do that in soccer. So I feel like you should if you try and start a fight, or you punch someone or you bite them or headbutt them, that should be a red card and suspension, in my opinion. I know red cards automatically mean a suspension for the next game, but something like that should really warrant a more serious. It has to be intentional as well. From my understanding, the headbutting incident, biting incidents were intentional. So it should have obviously missed more than one game and gotten a red card. So, but in Zinedine, that was going to be his last game. So it's outside of a red card, he's just hurt. It was I say selfish, but according to him, his side, I can understand where he's coming from if his side is true. So he said that a family member was insulted. He made the player he headbutted made some disparaging remarks about a family member, and in the height of the moment, I can understand where he's coming from, but at the same time, it's also selfish, I think. Because you're hurting your teammates as well. But I can also see where he's coming from. Now, I'm not saying he's right or wrong. He's right, but, I can see where he's coming from. I can understand where he's coming from. Not that I condone violence in soccer. but the punishment he got of getting sent off was deserved, in my opinion. I know, depending on what you say to the referee, can get a red card, can result in a red card, and I think that's understandable because the ref. Sometimes referees in any sport make a bad call, but at the same time, depending on the call, I can understand where the players are coming from as well. But to be fair to the referee, they constantly have to deal with arguments from both teams in every game, and they have to deal with the fans heckling them as well. The media as well. So it's like, outside of the other referees, you really don't have anyone coming to the referee's defense a whole lot. So I can understand that the referee should be given some leeway in terms of. But I do remember there was one in 2023. I think Real Madrid was playing a La Liga game. And the referee, in my opinion, and I think some of the commentators of the game and the post game as well, made a terrible call. And it was at the end of the game. And Jude Bellingham it was a corner kick, and right as the ball was in the air, the referee called for the full-time whistle. And I felt that, I know I've complained about it in the past where, the amount of, in a soccer video game where the amount of time has passed at the end of the half, and then a team scores. But, I feel like I can understand why I can now understand why referees wait until the the attacking team stops or loses possession. I can understand that. But to do it like in the middle of like a corner kick when the ball has been kicked but hasn't touched the ground yet. Not only that, but Jude Bellingham will gain possession of the ball and score after the whistle is blown. But before, it was basically the whistle was called after the ball had been kicked, but it was coming towards Jude Bellingham. If that makes any sense. And the Real Madrid players understandably protested the decision, and Jude Bellingham was shown a red card actually, and he said, and I quote, "That's a fucking goal." Pardon my language, and it's like, say the corner kick I just took. It's like that after I hit it. After I kicked it in just now, but before one of the players scored, the full-time whistle was blown. That's essentially what happened. So, I can understand, if the opposing team, if that had happened to the team Real Madrid was playing and Real Madrid allowed the goal, I would be completely on the side of the opposing team and saying the goal should have counted in my end. I don't remember the final score, but I do know that Jude Bellingham's goal should have counted, so. But he got a red card for that, but. There was an instance recently where Real Madrid was playing as well, and one of the players had actually said something, and they were given a red card. And I don't remember what was being said. I know it was eventually translated into English, but I know that understandably, to be fair, the referee, I actually sided with the referee on that occasion because the referee gave them a red card. I don't know what was being said, but. I know one of the commentators who spoke Spanish said that he didn't say it on air because of the You can't say it on air, but he said that basically he implied that one of the Real Madrid players swore, said a swear word. So I can, in that situation, it was like in the middle of a game. In that situation, I know at least he got. I say red carded, but I think he got. I'm not. I know he got penalized, like at least with the yellow. Don't remember what was being said, but I can understand the referee giving the card to the Real Madrid player in that situation. And I say this as a Real Madrid fan. So for me, at least when you're saying something to the referee, it depends on the context and the time. But more often than not, I will actually side with the referees because they do. They do. I will side with the referees more often than not in sports because they deal with a lot of garbage from the players and the fans and the media. And yes, people don't go to the games to see the referees in action and make calls, but the referees are there for a reason. And whether you agree with the decision or not, the referee's call does stand. And the referees, like anyone else, do make mistakes. And in the grand scheme of things, the referees, I can understand. I can, in the grand scheme of things, the referee's decisions isn't really that important, you know, compared to some other things that some other decision makers. But at the same time, I can understand why. At certain times, I can understand why the players and the fans get upset with the referees. Though, so there are some bad referees in every sport, but I think a lot. I think more often than not, oh, Bruce should have scored there. More often than not, I think the referees do deal with a lot of garbage from the. Do get a lot more hate than they should have. So drink. So we have some Dad's Diet root beers with me. Yeah, Dad's Diet root beer. I like it. Yeah. And I have some Diet Dr. Brown's original cream soda with me as well. For example, I watch Major League Baseball as well. I've seen basically highlights of Angel Hernandez, who retired, I think, in the middle of last season. He is an umpire, which, for those of you that don't watch baseball, is an equivalent to a referee. It essentially is a referee. And no matter what team, no matter what game he refereed, he umpired, as they're calling in baseball, fans of both teams would be complaining about his performance because he would be making terrible calls, for both. He'd be making poor decisions, or not. What am I trying to say? He'd be making poor calls and poor things that affect the outcome of a game more often than not. And umpiring baseball is a difficult sport, but the level of, awful refereeing or umpiring in his case was to the point where he shouldn't have been at the major league level, in my opinion. It's just he wasn't a good referee. He wasn't a good umpire, is what I'm trying to say. Regardless, like, you like, both teams would actually be complaining about the calls he would make in whatever game he was whatever game he was umpiring. So it got to the point so bad that he was actually being denied opportunity to umpire in the postseason and the World Series, which is like the championship series of the Major League Baseball, for those of you that don't know. And he filed a lawsuit against Major League Baseball. And Major League Baseball actually argued in court, saying that he wasn't real. It's not that he was suing. Basically, he was being denied up. He was being denied opportunity to referee in the postseason, in the playoffs, in the finals, essentially to because of the fact that he was Latino. He was Cuban. Major League Baseball argued that they weren't denying him because of his ethnicity or the color of his skin or his race. They were denying him opportunities because he was a terrible umpire. And Major League Baseball actually that was a successful argument. Major League Baseball actually won the court case against Angel Hernandez. So if I don't know. So if that to me tells me that if you're suing and you lose the court case because you're terrible at your job, you know, regardless of the reason you're suing, you know, it's because you're terrible at your job. So he actually appealed and it was denied, or I think he lost the court case as well. He lost the appeal as well. Yeah, let's this 151,000. So yeah, it's just yeah. So I know sometimes referees deal with a lot of. The point I'm trying to make is that there are good referees and there are bad referees. I know I'd be a bad referee because I'm not very good at officiating. I think that'll be it for the transfers. I have some of my dad's diet root beers. So. Oh, we lost. Oh, we did not. So why was it declined? Oh, okay. So go to nationality and let's choose. See if there are players from American Samoa that we can get on our team. No. What about Samoa? Oh well. So let's go to squad team management. Are we actually going to start the Eredivisie season next? But let's see if there's an academy or something. I wish there was an academy mode in here. So let's go and advance. Oh well. Let's let's see if we can get another transfer. Make an effort. I was wondering if the game froze, but no, I can see the little thing on the left hand side of the corner spinning, so Then transfer by nationality. See if there are any players from Azerbaijan we can get for hopefully under 2 million. So let's do 1,719,000. $800. That should be our first Eredivisie game of the year. %5 per. All right. So, yeah, well, it's an away game against Vitesse. Let's leave the starting lineup as is. I do not know any of the starting players for Vitesse. Or any of the players on the bench for Vitesse as well. Let me finish my drink before getting started. All right. Stade Municipal. Alright, this should be on my YouTube channel where I have the most content on. Excuse me, so if you wanna follow me there, I have way more content on YouTube than I do on Twitch. If it's under 2 hours, it should be on Daily Motion as well. And I just linked my Daily Motion account along with my YouTube, so should be uploaded to YouTube later today or tomorrow. It's currently 4:32 p.m. on March 5th, 2025. So, with that being said, it is a goal right there by El Hamado. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Goal in the 3rd minute, actually. And we are up 1-0. So it's the 2010-2011 campaign in the Eredivisie for Ajax, and we are off to a quick victory. I streamed some EA Sports FC 25 earlier today. And I actually just ran some errands as well. And that was about it. I looked at Real Madrid yesterday. I'm going to be looking at the Little Rock Trojans basketball team playing the Ohio Valley, their first game in the Ohio Valley Conference tournament on ESPN Plus tomorrow, and Ajax's Europa League game as well. I watched some wrestling as well yesterday, as Suarez scored his second goal there. So Ajax is playing in the Europa League against Eintracht Frankfurt. Hopefully they'll win. You're looking at wrestling tonight, some AEW Dynamite. I looked at NXT actually yesterday. I'm baseball and soccer and basketball, those three sports I watch, but I also watch professional wrestling as well. I know that's not a sport because it's predetermined, you know. In terms of basketball, I don't really watch professional a whole lot. I will if there's nothing on, but you know, I mainly watch NCAA basketball, Division I basketball. I watch the Little Rock Trojans. So, just college basketball basically, or university basketball, as it's known outside of the U.S. And soccer I do watch. I watch Ajax and Real Madrid, as I stated, and baseball I watch the Los Angeles Angels, but I don't really watch spring training. So. I'm hoping the Little Rock Trojans will win the Ohio Valley Conference tournament and make it to the NCAA tournament because we're in the conference. We're in the Ohio Valley Conference, and that team usually nowadays usually only produce one team in the for the men's and women's NCAA Division I tournament. So. If not, then I predict that I don't see them going to the NIT or the WNIT, but I do see them going to the college basketball invitational, the men's and the women's basketball invitational as well, like the third team, not the tournament to determine the national championships or the second most, but rather the third most, just based off of our strength of schedule alone. But I'm biased and I put them in the NCAA tournament regardless of if they win the. But I'm not the one deciding if they get an at-large bid or not. So I do hope they make it to the NCAA tournament. They're talented enough to do. I know the women's team is more of a defensive team. They're much better defense than they are in offense, but they've improved. Not that they're bad at offense, but they just improved a whole lot on offense. So they also have a new coach. Actually, first year head coach. He wasn't named Steve Wiederer, but he was an assistant coach for a long time at the University of Arkansas at Little Rock. So it's a similar system of basketball that they play, just more. The offense is mainly different, and you know the head coach for the men's is Darryl Walker. So if you followed the Chicago Bulls in the 1990s, you may know his name because he won an NBA championship with Michael Jordan. And they're more of a defensive team, but they were better at offense, I think, than the women's team last season. But this season they're more or less the same. They're both good on offense and good on defense. So. Not that either team was bad at offense last year, but they just didn't have as many. Like the people who are really good at shooting didn't play as much last year as they did this year. So, is one of our players injured? Yes, Emmanuelson. is injured, so. Alright. Yeah, Manuelson's injured, so I have to take him out for Ziegler. Ah, shoot. Missed there. Let's see. So, for those of you that watch college basketball, who do you think is going to win the national championship? As much as I want the Little Rock Trojans to win the men's and women's national championship, I don't think they will, so. I want them to, but. I was going to kick it out of bounds. Because it looks to be like the player was injured, so. And for those of you that watch, La Liga and the Eredivisie, who do you think will win both leagues? And who do you think will win the Champions League and Europa League? And Europa Conference League as well? And UEFA. Do you think will win the World Series if you watch Major League Baseball? I think I want the Angels, but I don't see the Los Angeles Angels winning. I think the Dodgers will actually repeat as champions. And I think the Yankees will definitely be one of the favorites to come out of the American League. I can see New York coming out. But the thing is, I can see, okay, maybe not any of the other teams in the AL East, but I can easily see all 5 teams in the AL East make the playoffs. There's a good argument for why all 5 of them should, and unfortunately, all 5 of them can't. But I could easily see all 5 of them being close to making the playoffs if like one of them are like a position or 2 out of the wild card, or 2 or 3 of them maybe. The AL Central, I don't really see anyone coming out of the AL Central. Definitely not the White Sox. The White Sox were horrible last year. In the AL West, I can see Texas if they are healthy, because I know they were dealing with injuries last year. And I think realistically, Houston may be the only. If Houston is healthy, I think they can. They may be the only team. Based off, maybe not last year, but the nearly half a decade, a little more than. Actually, more than after the roughly decade of performance of the way the Astros played before last season. If they play like they did from like 2017 to 2023, I can easily see Houston coming, being in contention for the World Series along with the Yankees out of the AL. I'm surprised that went in. Let's make some substitutions. Vermeer and Sulejmani come out. Now out of the NL, I can see maybe New York, maybe, but definitely like Philadelphia based off of the last couple of seasons. Definitely Philadelphia. Maybe Atlanta. if like Atlanta, I can see making Atlanta, New York, and Philly. I can see making the playoffs, but not really giving them a good run for their giving the Dodgers a good run for their money. Like the only teams I can see realistically doing well in the AL, like other than the Yankees, would be the Tampa Bay Rays and the Houston Astros. If the Astros played like they did, not like last season, but the several seasons before, like as late as 2023, I can see them doing well. And then New York, I can see, but the Dodgers have to play really poorly in the New York Mets would have to. And then Philadelphia would be like those are like the top four teams in addition to the Milwaukee Brewers are the only other team I can see. You know, possibly doing well if they get hot at the right time in the playoffs when they play the Dodgers. And if San Diego played the opposite of the way they played last year and they played, I think, in 2022 or 2023, I don't remember which year they were close to going to the World Series, but if they, like the year they, it was like a couple of years ago they went to the NLCS and lost to Philadelphia. So if they play the way they did that year and their star player doesn't get suspended, then I can see them potentially dethroning the Dodgers. But if they played like they played last year, then I don't see them even making the playoffs. Because I don't see Colorado coming out of the NL West. I don't see them even making the playoffs. I can see San Francisco getting close to the playoffs. Like if Atlanta played well like they did a few years ago, I can see them at least making the playoffs. I can see New York having the pitching staff to make the playoffs, and I can see Philadelphia at least losing to the Dodgers. Philadelphia, of all teams, I can see them losing to the Dodgers just because they're so stacked. The Dodgers are so stacked. I can see the Philadelphia losing in the NLCS. Presumably, if they or the Dodgers aren't. Presumably, if they beat the Milwaukee Brewers, if healthy, I can actually see losing, having just as good an opportunity as, the Phillies. So I don't see the Pirates or the Nationals doing well enough to make the playoffs. I don't see the Cubs doing well. The Cubs didn't play that well last year, so I don't really see them doing well this year. I don't see the Reds making the playoffs either. But the thing about baseball is that it's so hard to tell who's going to win. There are few times you can easily predict which teams will come out of the playoffs before the season starts because it's so long and there's so many games. You have 162 games in a Major League Baseball season. They're playing almost every day. So, the issue is you can do well one year in baseball, but then the next year you're just amongst the worst in the league. Like Texas won the World Series in 2023, but they completely missed the playoffs and in 2024, and that was mainly due to injuries though. It's not that they weren't playing. It's not. I'm sure they would have at least had a good chance of winning the World Series if all the players that took them to the World Series and won it had stayed healthy, but so. But also, due to the sheer number of games you play, once you dig yourself into a hole where you lose 8 if you lose like 7, 8, 9 in a row, which is possible. It's kind of hard to actually get out of that funk, and Chicago lost the. I think in a 162 game season, I think they set the record for the most losses in a 162 game season. So the White Sox did, at least. I know there are two teams in Chicago, but so we'll see. Though it's the Dodgers do have a lot of good players, though. That's the thing, and the Yankees, just because they were amongst the best of, they were clearly in the playoffs. They were the best team in the AL. So don't remember who had the best record amongst the American League teams, but just because usually the teams that make the finals are the usually have the best chances of making the finals next year. So 9-0 with Sulejmani scoring 2, Suarez scoring 4, Hama El Hamadoui scoring 2, and then Alderweireld scoring 1. Let me make a note or something. So yeah, I'm gonna hop off here, y'all. Thanks for watching. So players hurt, but we will actually make sure that they come off. For the next game. So thanks for watching, deuces.